morning, guys. This time for this video, I'm going to show you what it looks like when we have a 3-digit number minus a 3-digit number and we're regrouping the tens place down to the ones place using the partial sums strategy. Parents, I know this is a different way than you probably learn math. It looks very different. The concept of borrowing and carrying is actually the same. But this strategy is based on place values. So the hundreds place and what that means, it means groups of 100. The tens place means groups of 10. And the ones place means groups of 1. So we're regrouping is what we call it. And it actually looks different on paper. But again, the mathematical concept is the same. And they actually don't learn the borrowing and carrying, which is technically a shortcut, until upper elementary school. So if you could refrain from teaching them that at home, I know that's really hard to do and it's very challenging to understand what we call this new math because it's not the way we learned it. But if you can try to work through these videos and get a basic understanding of how it works so that you can help your child at home, it would be really helpful because it's laying the foundation for them to have a strong sense of numbers and a strong understanding of how numbers work and how to move numbers and use numbers so that when they do get to upper elementary school, then they can learn the shortcut and it will make sense rather than just knowing the formula but not really understanding why they're doing what they're doing. Okay, so bear with me. If we have the problem 583 minus 247, for partial sum strategy, I want to show what each place is worth. So what I would write on my paper is I would start with the hundreds and I'm going to show that 500 is 500 because there's a 5 in the hundreds place in 583, so it's worth 5 groups of 100, which is 500, minus 200. So I have to put the zeros. Then I go down to my tens, so I'm going to kind of line everything up. My hundreds go on top, my tens go in the middle, and my ones go last. So 8 tens is really 80. If I count by tens until I have 8 that I've counted, I've got 80. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So I write 80 minus the tens in 247 is where the 4 is in the number, in the place. So 4 tens is worth 40. Notice how I'm trying to line them up. And then I have 3 minus 7. Some students still want to switch the places of those numbers. They want to say 7 minus 3, but that will not get you to the right answer. Because it is based on place value, they have to stay as they are in the number because we have to regroup. We have to take a 10 and move it down to the ones place. So let me show you that now. I have to ask myself a question, 2 questions actually. The first one is, do I have enough tens? 80 minus 40. Can I solve that mathematically? Yes. So then I look at my ones. Do I have enough ones? No, the answer to that is no, because 3 minus 7 will not work. If I hold up 3 fingers and I try to subtract 7 fingers, I don't have enough fingers. You cannot subtract a smaller number or lesser number minus a greater number. It will not work mathematically, so I have to regroup. Here's how I do that. In this number, in this equation, I don't need to go to the hundreds place because I can go to the neighbor with the $10 bills. This is what I say. I go to the neighbor and I knock on his door. So I'm actually going to go to the 80 and I'm going to borrow a 10. That means I'm going to scratch out 80. I'm going to draw a line through it. I'm going to take away 10 from 80, which is 70. So I write that out to the side. But if I take it from one number, I have to give it to another number. And I know where I'm giving it to. It's the place that doesn't have enough. They've borrowed a $10 bill, so 10 plus 3 is 13, so I can just write a 10. Now, I have to ask myself again, do I now have enough ones? Yes, because 13 minus 7 will work mathematically. So I'm going to start back at the top of what I wrote. 500 minus 200, and I'm going to subtract going across. 500 minus 200 is 300, so I write equals 300. Then I say 70, not 80, because 80 is no longer. I have taken a 10 and I've regrouped it down to the ones. 70 minus 40. A lot of students get tripped up on this because they don't know what to do with the tens. They're having a hard time subtracting the tens. So I tell them to draw the tens blocks. Draw 7 tens blocks, which are just sticks. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and then use their pencil to just draw a squiggle through 4 of them because you're taking them away. You're subtracting them. So what I notice is I have 3 tens left over. If I count by tens, that's 30. 10, 20, 30. At home, you may use pretzel sticks. You could use something small like pennies or beans for the ones. You may use Legos for the tens. You could use something kind of like our blocks at school. Our blocks show that there are 10 ones in a stick, but anything that is like a stick would work at home to practice this if they need something to touch and to hold. So now I go down to my ones. 13 minus 7. And I tell you, in second grade, they still have a hard time with this. This is actually part of a first grade standard that they need to know. Some of them are forgetting their basic facts. So that might be something to practice during these digital learning days is the basic facts that they need to know. You can get flashcards from the dollar store, which is still open during this time. So I would practice that as much as possible. Use something to count if they're having a hard time doing it mentally. 13 minus 7, I tell them, hey, you could say 10 minus 7 if you know that. That's 3. And then you add 3 more back to what you started with. 3 plus 3, that's 6. Now, here's the tricky part for a lot of students because we know we're subtracting. The last step of the partial sum strategy, even when you're subtracting, is to add the numbers that you have subtracted together to total it out. So now I'm going to circle what I'm going to add. 300 plus 30 plus 6. That's 300. I'm going to write it up here at the top because I'm running out of room. I'm going to write it in red. 336 is my difference, which is the answer to the subtraction problem. And there you go. There's the partial sum strategy for regrouping the tens place down to the ones place. I hope this helps you in your math this week for your digital learning. Please let me know if you have any questions.